And in today's episode of things that are so ridiculous they couldn't possibly be true, but are true, which makes them even more ridiculous, check this out from Morgan Stanley. Legacy Automotive paying for Tesla's AI infrastructure? By the way, spoiler alert, yes, we'll get to that soon. But first, the big news of the day. The Federal Reserve has cut interest rates by 0.5%, from 5.5%, where it's held steady for quite some time, to 5%, just ahead of the US presidential election. Obviously, there's no correlation at all. I just thought I'd mention that randomly. And this is a hugely important moment for Tesla. Consumers are extremely interest rate sensitive when it comes to making major purchases, including homes and new vehicles. Many consumers finance the purchase of new vehicles, and the automotive industry itself is also highly cyclical. If you're really feeling the pinch as a household, dropping many tens of thousands of dollars on a new vehicle often becomes a lower priority than it would have been in a lower interest rate / much more positive economic environment. So I just want to put things in perspective to remind you guys the absolute insanity of what happened over the last few years. During the scamdemic, when fascist governments the world over forcibly imprisoned their own citizens in their homes, forcibly and unlawfully closed businesses and bankrupted the business owners, mandated medical interventions that was very safe and effective, shut down the global economy, there were huge shocks. Supply chain challenges, people staying at home, some level of financial stimulus was absolutely necessary. And in addition, interest rates plummeted to basically zero. Then, having remained at basically zero, which historically, by the way, last time that happened in the wake of the financial crisis, rates then suddenly surged by a greater amount in a shorter period of time than ever in the history of the Fed, more than 100 years. We'll get to Tesla's competitors paying Tesla for the AI infrastructure build out soon, but this matters a lot. Let's just say hypothetically that the current interest rate was 2.25%, and that interest rate were to increase by 0.25% to 2.5. Playing along at home, that's exactly what we saw happen here. In relative terms, how much did that rate go up? The answer is about 11%. The difference between 2.25 and 2.5, about 11%. Now, riddle me this. What happens if an interest rate increases, just hypothetically, from 0.25% to 0.5%? It's the same 0.25% increase, but in relative terms, your interest rate has not increased by 11%, but 100%. It literally doubled. Then imagine the next fucking month, you're suddenly at 1%. You've now quadrupled from 0.25% to 1%. We can keep playing this game. 2.5%. If you began at 25, that's pretty easy math, right? That's a 10x. 5. We're now looking at a 20x. Okay, so in short, interest rates increased by roughly 20 times in the blink of an eye. That has never happened before. Now, I didn't expect this would happen. I could not have imagined in a million years the Fed would do this. Yet they did. I guess I should just stick to Tesla. This had an enormous impact on the economy, on consumer sentiment, on purchasing decisions, and importantly, on the automotive market. We've now seen rates come down roughly 10%, if we want to be specific, about 9, with a 0.5% cut from 5.5 to 5. This does not yet make a trend, but should rates continue to come down over time, and I do believe they will, we are likely to see a complete reversal of the pain currently being experienced by all companies trying to sell vehicles to consumers. Just saying. So we'll come back to rates later. Back to the note, where Tesla's competition is literally paying Tesla to put them out of business. Incremental greenhouse gas emissions from global data centers through 2030 is estimated to be around 2.5 billion tons, equivalent to 2.5 years of CO2 emissions for all US cars on the road. The growth of global data center emissions feeds the Tesla energy bull case. By the way, I love hearing analysts talking about the Tesla energy business, period. Long ignored. While highlighting, wait for it, existential compliance risk to auto OEMs. Let me translate. Morgan Stanley, in their own note, are suggesting it is possible that legacy automotive companies are completely and utterly fine. Nothing to see here. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. Think of this. Is Ford going to potentially fund Tesla's AI data center growth? Ford has disclosed it has accumulated firm commitments to purchase approximately $4 billion worth of zero-emission vehicle credits to help maintain fleet compliance on CO2 emissions globally in the years ahead. Now, this is crazy for a few reasons. Ford could have, in theory, avoided having to spend any money, let alone $4 billion buying these credits by simply producing enough electric vehicles to meet the fleet compliance requirements. But apparently that was either too hard or, well, actually, I'm pretty sure that's the only possible explanation. That was just too hard, so they didn't even try. Instead, they're going to be paying companies, including Tesla, billions of dollars to buy the credits. I mean, this is so funny and crazy. So, Morgan Stanley estimate that Tesla, given their share of the market where Ford participates, is likely to receive as much as 50% of this $4 billion. In other words, $2 billion of credits to be purchased by Ford from Tesla. Now, this is where things get crazy. Tesla disclosed at the end of 2024, second quarter, that it had $2.5 billion of AI infrastructure within its PP&E. So, just imagine this. I'll give you an analogy. Imagine that you're really bad at fucking your girlfriend and she keeps complaining you're really bad. She keeps warning you, you're terrible in the sack, you need to shape up, buddy. And instead of you deciding to figure out why you're so fucking bad and try to improve, instead you decide to go call up some guy called GigaChad and pay him to fuck your girlfriend. Now, this is what Ford's doing right now. Ford were told, hey, look, you need to make X amount of electric vehicles to be compliant with these emissions standards for your fleet, aka the complaining girlfriend. And instead of Ford going, yeah, actually, good point, let's make those vehicles. No, that's too hard. They decide to just go to a competitor, pay them billions of dollars. You can't make this stuff up. And the thing that's so funny is this is an ongoing tale. This has been happening for years. I've been pointing this out for years. Previously, I was pointing out the Tesla so-called competition were literally paying for Tesla to build gigafactories to put them out of business. Just so ironic. And now the next phase, these companies are still so far behind, they're still having to pay Tesla billions of dollars, but now Tesla's spending that money on AI. Oh man, this is just wild. It sounds like a fantasy. In what reality would companies who've already been paying Tesla billions of dollars for literally years to put them out of business still be paying Tesla literally billions of dollars? So, back to the note. Therefore, in an effort to reduce emissions, Ford would purchase zero-emission vehicle credits from Tesla with a 100% margin to Tesla. Yeah, obviously, it doesn't cost Tesla anything. This is a magical byproduct of producing electric vehicles. Tesla just piles up these credits, which they can sell. It's crazy stuff. It's like a waste product from their production process. They do not need the credits, yet they can sell them to other companies for billions of dollars. And it's pure profit, which Tesla would in turn use to add its own power-hungry and CO2-emitting AI supercomputers. Is it just us, or does that seem ironic? It's not just you, Morgan Stanley. This is the ultimate irony. In their latest global insight, the Morgan Stanley Global Sustainability Team forecast that global data center build and their electricity use will amount to 2.5 billion tonnes of incremental greenhouse gas emissions from 2024 to 2030, equivalent to more than 40% of annual US emissions, and 3 times the data center industry emissions in a scenario in which no generative AI development existed. Any of the nerds want to pause and read this chart? Go for it. The long and short, generative AI, LLMs and so on, image generation, going to cause a huge surge in energy consumption and therefore emissions. 2.5 billion tonnes of CO2. This is how much they're expecting between 2024 and 2030 just from the data centers just in the US, is equivalent to nearly 2.5 years of total CO2 emissions from the combustion engine gasoline vehicle fleet in the United States alone. Does put things in perspective, doesn't it? That's the equivalent of burning 350 billion gallons of gasoline, which is the volumetric equivalent of over 530,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, with an average of more than 2 internal combustion engine cars per US household. The auto industry is an easy target for emissions regulation, but the rate of change in emissions from the growth of AI becomes more consequential. Auto companies may wonder if the CO2 emission improvements they are required to achieve merely make room for fast-growing emissions in other sectors. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit on this note. The potential for generative AI to address sustainability challenges longer term, more efficient operations in buildings, smarter transportation routes for relevant transportation more broadly, better power grid management, etc., can perhaps justify the near-term acceleration in emissions. Concurrently, automakers in the US are subject to EPA emissions compliance, among other emissions-based regulations, wherein each OEM must comply with the applicable CO2 fleet average standard at the end of each model year. And here's where we get back to Tesla's so-called competition, paying Tesla to metaphorically fuck their girlfriend. If the average is above the applicable fleet average standard, manufacturers must contract to buy sufficient CO2 credits. If they don't do this, by the way, they face astronomical fines. Generative AI development is a clear catalyst for growth in Tesla energy demand, in our view. The team believes that the magnitude of greenhouse gas emissions is greater than appreciated and will drive large investment opportunities for decarbonisation solutions, including clean energy. We wrote in June that as generative AI acceleration spurs a multi-generational increase in energy demand, electricity generation, and data centre investment, Tesla Energy is uniquely positioned to benefit. So I'm going to translate the jargon again. I think that Morgan Stanley just said Tesla Energy has no competition, huge opportunity, don't sleep on Tesla Energy, something like that. Maybe they're right. We believe that Tesla's capability in distributed energy generation and storage may hold some important cards in the evolution of the US grid as energy usage of compute and data grows. By the way, they're right. This is a very underrated element of Tesla's business. To be clear, energy generation, storage, and importantly, supply. That's the full energy ecosystem. Generation, storage, and supply. Tesla has fingers in all of these pies. Imagine, just imagine being the CEO of Ford. Shout out to Jim Farley, by the way, he's doing his best. Imagine the situation you find yourself in. Like Ford's been slowing down their electric vehicle plans and have decided, in essence, tacitly admitted, in fact, that rather than scale their electric vehicle production to produce enough vehicles to meet these fleet emissions requirements, instead they would rather pay literally billions of dollars to a company currently disrupting them. It's going to be even funnier when Ford start licensing FSD from Tesla. By the way, can somebody please provide an example, if you know of any, in which this has happened in any other industry, where a company disrupting an entire industry is being paid by the companies it's disrupting at these kind of levels, multiple billions of dollars? Has this ever happened before? It's wild. And one last thing, Tesla is such a lean and resourceful company that $1 billion in the hands of Tesla goes probably 2-3 times as far as it will in the hands of any other company. And if you doubt me, I encourage you to do some homework and look into the cumulative losses and or profits, although there aren't really any profits, of electric vehicle startups. How much money have they cumulatively lost before becoming profitable versus Tesla's cumulative losses as a company, its lifetime as a company before it started printing money? You'll never see a better example of resourcefulness, efficiency, and capital efficiency in particular than lifetime cumulative losses and or profits, because you can compare years since founding, money lost before they turned profitable. Just compare any other company producing electric vehicles to Tesla. I rest my case. And now, back to interest rates. A downward shift in interest rates has multiple effects. First, there's the direct, we'll call them mechanical effects. People who previously literally couldn't service a loan at a certain interest rate for a vehicle can now service that loan. If you were just on the edge of being able to pay X amount per month but couldn't quite get there, a lender says, sorry, you can't afford it. Our calculator says no. Now, a little bit cheaper, might get you over the line. So there's that, more people literally being able to secure a loan to purchase a vehicle. In addition, there's the broader psychological effect that rates coming down can have on people. This is psychological, this is sentiment, but it matters. And rates coming down also means costs of many goods and services more broadly will come down. Any business that happens to use any form of debt and financing will be experiencing declining overheads, which means in many cases they can pass those cost savings on to consumers. So consumers will begin to feel things easing up a little bit and may then feel psychologically more confident in spending a lot of money to purchase a new vehicle. There's also another effect, specifically relating to investors, who are likely to see this as the signal of the beginning of many additional rate cuts, which is likely to cause major behavioural shifts among investors, especially big money investors who are running for the exits, especially around, quote, growth stocks, because interest rates go up, must sell growth stocks, and now interest rates go down, must buy growth stocks. And if many of these big money / big brain, in some case, investors think, well, if rates are going to keep coming down and growth stocks are then probably going to benefit, maybe I should get a little bit ahead of that and load up on the growth stocks before more rate cuts. Now, this is not a prediction of what's going to happen. I'm just sharing some thoughts about typically how things play out. Of course, just to be clear, I can prove to you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that interest rates have absolutely no impact whatsoever on growth stocks, nor the automotive market. And the way that I will prove that to you is to note where rates began to surge, say March 2022, but really rocketing up by, say, mid-2022. Compare that to Tesla, which from peak to trough, April 22, just after the first of the rate increases until, let's say, the beginning of January 2023, the stock had collapsed about 65, 66 plus %. Wait, hang on. Wait, did we just look at that time period until that time period? Almost directly in proportion to the interest rate surging from 0.25 to 4.5%. Must be a coincidence. Now, by the way, I don't actually know for sure what caused the massive sell-off in Tesla stock. But hey, I mean, it's worth considering if there was at least some correlation, and if so, what might happen if interest rates continue to come down. But what it's worth as someone who is personally carrying millions of dollars of debt, actually, by the way, investment debt, don't worry, my personal finances are extremely interest rate sensitive. Anyway, as I was pointing out, there's obviously no possibility that there's any correlation between interest rates and, let's say, Tesla stock. And to prove that point unequivocally, I just not only want to look at what happened when rates surged from basically zero to, 20 times that, but also what happened when interest rates collapsed to basically zero and then held there for a period of time. So let's have a look at Tesla stock from around mid-March 2020 until end of February 2022. So here we are finding mid-March 2020, roughly there. Tesla stock, let's call it $28.50. And was it end of February we were looking for in 2022? Somewhere around there. Somewhere on the order of an 8, 9, 10x increase in Tesla stock. Again, I'm not saying there's a correlation. I'm just saying, how curious. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. Plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.